What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're going to jump in and talk about some new builds and mods in Season of Arrivals that really kind of mix things up and create some really powerful setups you can use this season. There are a couple of things to talk about, including a mod that can help you get up to 50% of your super energy back immediately after actually using your super, new charged with light builds that make grenade launchers like Witherhoard, as well as some of the exotic sidearms in the game incredibly powerful, as well as a pretty broken sword setup that some folks are rocking at the moment. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video as always, and if you do, a rating down below really helps me out. But I gotta give a massive shout out as well to my pal Duddits, who absolutely loves setting up builds with the new artifact mods charged with light and everything like that. And it's helped me get hold of some of the stuff we're using in the videos, so I massively appreciate that, and I hope you guys enjoy it as always. So let's touch on some builds, and then in a few moments time, we'll talk about some of the other mods that are dropping this season. So one of the first mods to talk about right here, new for Season of Arrivals, would be Loosened Blade. And while charged with light, dealing damage with swords gives bonus sword damage for 5 seconds, and that consumes 1 stack of charge with light. And so in general, on any class whenever you're rocking a sword, it's a pretty good mod to have on. But of course you can set it up with some pretty cool builds. So if you run Loosened Blade on a Void Titan, then you can also equip Oppressive Darkness on the subclass, where Void nades debuff enemies. And this will give us a pretty nasty boost to damage for the sword. And Loosened Blade can be procced on any enemy, so you can proc it by damaging a single tanky target, and then your subsequent damage will be boosted. Or you can strike one enemy after another, especially if you have a Masterworked sword, as that'll keep dropping orbs of light, which is the primary way that we're actually getting charged with light in this build. You can equip Taken Charge to become charged with light by picking up orbs of light. And then in this build specifically, we're rocking Stronghold, and that maximizes guard stats. And shots blocked immediately after guarding will heal you, which is a pretty good option because guarding is less expensive, and if you're getting down and dirty with the enemies, then being able to heal is also pretty significant. And in addition for the build, on a Void armor piece you can equip Precision Charge, where you become charged with light by rapidly making kills with bows, hand cannons, or scout rifles. And then there's the Swift Charge mod to become charged with light with rapid pulse, sidearm, or SMG kills. And they simply create more ways to become charged with light, right? But then of course you'll want a good legendary sword. Right here we're using the Falling Guillotine, and since many of the mods are focused around damage, any of the higher damage swords will definitely be worth looking at. And at the moment, the Fallen Guillotine is doing a lot of damage because players believe it could be potentially doubling its damage via a glitch. We're not 100% sure what's going on with that, and you'll notice sometimes some delay on some of the damage actually applying to targets. But nonetheless, it does make this perform even better, although the mod is still really going to help performance when it comes to DPS with swords. But we're also rocking a Masterworked Pulse Rifle to drop orbs, but also hand cannons or sidearms, as all of this will help us proc charge with light. Of course you can mix that up as you like, but if we're using Ward of Dawn as well, we're going to get Weapons of Light, and then we get Void Grenades that we can use with Oppressive Darkness, and even the benefits of Overshield, you know, if you can grab a melee kill as you chew through a bunch of enemies. So pretty much right here, the weapon kills are charging me with light, including sword kills. And with this build, you can afford to kind of burn some ammo on ads and things like that, especially with a Masterworked sword as you'll be picking up orbs as you go. And in something like Contact, you get quite a lot of heavy ammo on the ground. And so orbs of light in general are charging me up, and you have to pay a bit of attention to make sure you have that procced in order to get some real sword damage going. But then you can also pop your bubble, use it to take cover, throw grenades for Oppressive Darkness, and with a couple of stacks of charge with light, we're able to get that absolutely huge sword damage. And right here, we're pretty much managing to solo or 2-team Contact really easily. And so it is a solid all-around build. Can be pretty fun and risky at times, but also very rewarding. Also this season we can do some filthy damage with sidearms by using the Surprise Attack mod. So we've got this equipped on Void legs right here, but it can go on any Void armor piece. And while charged with light, reloading or readying a sidearm will consume all charge of light stacks, but convert them into stacks of a major damage buff. And this depletes as you damage enemies. And so for the basics of actually using it, essentially, once you're charged with light, if you switch to a sidearm or reload it, you'll notice that the charged with light buff disappears and is replaced with charged magazine. And that charged magazine is the bonus offered by the mod specifically, and that number will go down as you do damage to enemies. So this allows sidearms in general to be really strong, but with some of the exotics like Rat King or Devil's Ruin, it can be really good for burning through tanky targets, especially if you pair it with the charged up shot from Devil's Ruin. This thing is going to have no problem destroying a few yellow bars in Nightfalls or raids. But with Hunters specifically, you can take advantage of Mechanier's Trick Sleeves, and when you're critically wounded, swapping to a sidearm increases its damage. And in the instances where you do proc this at the same time as Charged Shot and the Surprise Attack mod, the damage will become absolutely ludicrous. But you should also probably rock Tether and use Oppressive Darkness as much as possible as well. But you'll also want to equip Taking Charge, and we've got that as well as Oppressive Darkness on our class item. Then on the Void Helmet we have Stacks on Stacks, to gain an extra stack of Charged with Light for every single stack you gain. And finally on the chest piece, Supercharged, where you can hold 2 extra stacks of Charged with Light. And this makes it really easy to get a total of 4 stacks with Charged with Light. And so with that in mind, you can take aim. And once again, especially when you're low health, you can use Charge Up Shot on the Devil's Ruin to do some absolutely ridiculous damage. Something worth paying attention to, especially if you're using grenade launchers a lot, would be the new Blast Radius mod. And you can also set up a fun build for hunters here. So on Solar Armor you can equip Blast Radius to become Charged with Light by rapidly defeating enemies with grenade or rocket launchers. And if you rock that with Wither Horde, and then equip Foe Tracer, which deals more damage to marked low health enemies, it'll pretty much result in a chaotic onslaught of kills, especially when you combine it with high energy fire. So this is another Charged with Light mod, but you get bonus weapon damage while charged with light, and each combatant defeated will deplete a stack. So imagine all those things together. We've got Wither Horde ticking away doing damage, and when we get kills with that, it's actually giving us Charged with Light. But because we're charged with light, we're also getting high energy fire, where we're getting bonus weapon damage. And of course, specifically for hunters again, Foe Tracer is going to increase that damage to a fair few enemies as well. And then we've got Stacks on Stacks for an extra charge stack. We're Taking Charge and Oppressive Darkness. So it's a constant feed of Charged with Light. Wither Horde makes kills, that charges you with light, which procs high energy fire and gives you bonus damage. We can keep a whole bunch of stacks because of the extra stack mods we've got equipped, and then Foe Tracer is increasing damage to many of those targets. Definitely worth paying attention to right now. Another one of the really strong mods this season would be Energy Converter, and you can use this on any class of course, but specifically for Warlocks, there's a pretty cool fast supers build. So on a Void class item, you can rock Energy Converter, and while charged with light, using a grenade attack consumes all stacks of Charged with Light, but it grants you super energy back, up to a maximum of 50% of your super. And so it can actually give you half of your super, but the explanation on the mod isn't fantastic, because it essentially only works when you're below 50% of your supercharge at any given time. So essentially it can give you half of your super if you more or less have no super energy already. This can be set up for some pretty fun builds. So if you equip GM Mag stabilizers as well, sprinting will top off near full energy, and damaging enemies with Chaos Reach of course extends its duration, so we can fairly easily take advantage of this to help us gain super energy by sprinting when it's nearly full. And then next we get a little more super energy from making grenade launcher kills with Dire Artillery, and that's a mod that you can also double up on with the class item right here. But we've also got Taking Charge once again, and Charged Up, which allows for 1 additional stack of Charge with Light, and then we've got Supercharged for 2 additional charge stacks. And once again, that's given us the potential of 5 stacks of Charged with Light, which is how we're going to get that super energy return. So start out by getting 5 stacks of Charged with Light, then use the Chaos Reach super. Once that's out, you can throw your grenade, and as long as you have those 5 stacks of Charged with Light, you'll get nearly 50% of your super energy back immediately. And of course, once you've done that, you've got time to get charged up again with Orbs of Light, then make grenade launcher kills, or sprint to top off your super and repeat, which basically means you have supers continuously in any kind of content where there are enough enemies to kill. And so once again, it's definitely a pretty strong mod for this season. But the running theme with all of these builds again is Charged with Light, and that's kind of the focus of the new Season 11 mods. And so those are some specific kind of builds and really powerful mods that are standing out at the moment. But some mods we haven't actually spoken about would include Argent Ordnance, and this is another one that you'll find in the Prismatic Recaster. And while charged with light, dealing damage with a rocket launcher to a powerful combatant gives you a major increase to rocket launcher damage for a short time, and that consumes 1 stack of Charged with Light. That's kind of like what we did with the grenade launcher setup. In particular builds, this could be a really powerful mod. There is also Kindling the Flame, and while charged with light, reviving a downed guardian gives you a burst of healing, consuming 1 stack of Charged with Light. And in some of the more critical endgame content, actually, that could be a fairly useful mod to have equipped. But then Font of Light allows you to defeat a combatant with a finisher to generate Orbs of Light for your allies, and that consumes 1 stack of Charged with Light, and of course you'll need to get the charge initially to use the perk. And you'll also gain a powerful overshield while performing the finisher. But then we have Sustained Charge, and this charges you with light by rapidly defeating combatants with auto rifles, trace rifles, or machine guns. And then Radiant Light, while charged with light, using your super causes nearby allies to become charged with light themselves. And it also gives you a stat bonus of +20 to strength. And so they're kind of creating more ways to engage with the charged with light mechanic, and I guess really to make it a more organic part of the gameplay in general. And so guys, I hope you have enjoyed this kind of roundup of seasonal mods, new Charged with Light stuff from the Recaster, and some cool builds. Of course, the build potential in the game is pretty massive, especially at this point, so let us know any that you've been enjoying this season, but if you have enjoyed this video, a rating really helps me out down below, and if you're new to the channel, feel free to hit subscribe so I can keep you up to date with the world of Destiny. But otherwise, whatever you get up to, thanks for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.